And welcome to another edition of the Bruins Beat here on CLNS Media. I'm Jimmy Murphy, your host, and my co-host Joe Gill is along with me. Joe, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. It's Sunday night, going back to work tomorrow, and then I'm off Friday, going up to Burlington, Vermont, hitting a ton of different craft breweries. I'm looking forward to a short week.
Oh, that'll be awesome, man. Good for you. I can't remember the name of it. When we get off air, I will try it, or I'll email my ex-girlfriend who used to go there with me. There's a great restaurant. It's like a restaurant bar about 3 blocks down the road towards the airport from if we used to stay at the Holiday Inn there off the highway. Off 84. Yeah, so or 89, excuse me. We used to stay there all the time, and we were just venturing out looking for a good place to get a good steak meal. Dude, this place for $20, you would get the biggest slab of steak, fries or potatoes, what have you, veggies, right? And you can get a bottle of red to split between the two of you. All right, all that for $20 a person.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta send me that.
Yeah, it was really good. So I'll get that info to you. I love Burlington, man. You're gonna have a ball there. Joe, you brought up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I went there. Like I said, it was my wife and I being together 10 years. We went there for our first year together. So kind of, going back for the nostalgia, if you know what I mean.
I was actually thinking it was. I think it was about 6 years ago today. I was sitting on the hot, muggy streets, or not sitting, standing on the hot, muggy streets of Burlington, Vermont, watching Tim Thomas bring the Stanley Cup.
Oh, God, it's going to bring that up.
Yeah, through the streets of Burlington, man. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then he had a little press conference up in the gym at UVM. And then I went back up to Montreal.
He went to UVM, didn't he?
He did. He was an amazing goaltender there. He took them to the Frozen Four. I believe there was a triple overtime game that they lost where they got hosed. It was a questionable goal. We'll have to look that up sometime. But, yeah, he's a legend up there, man. But he is nowhere to be found these days. Who knows?
Yeah, well, you know what? Speaking of cool, I just thought something that rhymes. FanDuel. What's going on with this, Jimmy, huh?
You know what? See, okay, that was all right. I had a better transition, a better segue.
All right, okay. I'm sorry.
You had brought up that it's the last week of summer, and I was going to segue, well, then that means football's right around the corner. So, all right.
I can't wait.
We got them both there. And it's not just football, though. I mean, Joe, we want to welcome on to the Bruins Beat, and, of course, across the CLNS Media family, thanks to Nick Galso and Sean Bakey, they have signed on FanDuel as one of the chief sponsors for us for the upcoming fall and winter seasons. And like we said, you can do multiple sports on there, but of course, right now the talk is football, and I'm wondering, if there's going to be some drafting of football teams for leagues, because you can do leagues, or you can do the typical head-to-head, night-to-night version. But I mean, I wonder how far down. How far up has the value of Chris Hogan went for the New England Patriots, considering the 2 superb preseason games he's had, as well as the fact that Julian Edelman is out for the season.
Major problem. I had Edelman in my fantasy league last year, my regular fantasy league, and he's just a reception machine. He's going to be missed for sure. But maybe Jimmy Murphy, we might have to start if we don't do football, or at the very least do a FanDuel hockey league for the Bruins Beat. Maybe we'll get some of our listeners.
We're definitely going to do a Bruins Beat league. I'm down for it. Let's make it happen. But Joe, tell the listeners what FanDuel's all about, just in case they don't know what the hell we're talking about here.
Sure thing. Well, try FanDuel for free with no deposit required. Visit FanDuel.com to claim your free contest and play for a share of $10,000. That's some big money right there. Not as much as that woman won in Chicopee, but it's pretty damn good. Just sign up.
Chicopee. Go ahead.
Yeah, remember, it was Watertown, now Chicopee. But anyway, so just sign up using promo code BruinsBeat, one word. That's at FanDuel.com, promo code BruinsBeat, void where prohibited.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's addictive. It's fun, but you don't have to lose a lot of money doing it. But you can win a lot off a little. I highly suggest it. And if, like Joe said, you go there right now and you sign up, you can use the promo code BruinsBeat. and it'll get you some credit there. And we want to thank FanDuel as well for the $10 credit they gave us to start the year off. I'm already been starting today. I actually did a little research. I've got my fantasy football draft is a week from today. We're August 27th recording this. So it's going to be the day before Labor Day. Though, I need your advice on this before we get into a little Bruins talk, and listeners can tell me too. I am quite conflicted, though. Okay, so Joe, basically, I was gonna have people over too. You know, I had many people over my new apartment in Waltham, Mass. I haven't had a lot of people over yet, and I was thinking this will be a good opportunity. So we'll, whoever's local can come over and do the draft live, and then I invited some people over as well after, and then maybe we'll hit my favorite spot there, the Gaff in Waltham, and so that's kind of planned, Joe. But then my friend Chris Stewart and Dave Barton up in Montreal and Ottawa or Ontario, Quebec border there. These bastards decide they're going to throw what is a legendary music fest in the Montreal, Quebec, Ontario border area there. It's called Stewie Palooza, and it's a thing that my friend Chris Stewart, who's the drummer for the Peelers, created. I don't know. I want to say like.
Is they named after Peel's Pub? Are they named after Peel's Pub?
No.
Up in Montreal?
No. They're just. I think it's an Irish thing or something, but. So the Peelers, as we played them here, they're a punk rock Irish band from Canada, and Chris Stewart decides, every Labor Day weekend on that Sunday, I'm going to do this music fest at my parents' farm out in western Quebec, right on the Ontario border, and invite everybody out there for an all-day, all-night fest. You camp out, barbecue, whatever, campfire, and they've got 4 bands coming. Really sick bands there, and the Peelers obviously one of them, and then one of my other favorites. I believe I've introduced you to him. If not, we will play him sometime. Shane Murphy from Montreal, great music.
No relation.
So no relation. But the problem is, Joe, it's the same day as my draft. So do I just blow it up and say, you know what, let's just do a draft online on Monday or something or Tuesday, and make the trek up to Montreal for this fest?
Are you the commissioner?
I am.
That's Bush League.
I think it's Bush League as well. So I'm
I think
there'll be other shows. I've seen Shane Murphy plenty. I've not seen the Peelers live yet, even though I'm good friends with them. So Dave Barton, if you're listening, buddy, I will make it up sooner or later. I know that's 3 shows now I've missed this summer, but it happens. I think I'm right with you, man. I have a responsibility to my league as commissioner to honor that draft.
Absolutely.
And get shit.
Sorry, my son just walked in, so I had to say goodnight,
Okay.
But yeah, you gotta be there, dude. I gotta be there.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that, my friend. Speaking of music, after we finish, Joe, you are up for music this week. So what you're gonna do is send me the intro and outro song. We obviously the listeners will have heard it by now. But you're going to send me that based on what we talk about tonight. You got to.
You got to make me think about a song that goes with a theme.
You got to loop it in, my friend. You got to loop it in. That's the theory here.
Oh wow, you like Mark McGrath on like 90s on 9.
Or you can look it up, and maybe today was the anniversary of the death, or maybe it was the birthday of one of your favorite musicians. We'll let that slide too.
Wow, you're tough. Well, I was gonna just use somebody that I couldn't go to their show Friday night because I couldn't go because of
because you're a great husband.
Yeah, or I'd be killed. Like Gary Clark Jr. was playing up in Hampton.
No, he played Hampton.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, I wish I knew that.
Dude,
I've yet to see him. I heard he's amazing.
So I saw him. I was down at a conference down in Austin, where he's from, and he was playing a private party for the actual conference I was at. And we got to see him for free, and he was playing at Austin City Limits.
Oh, wow.
How about that, dude? That was amazing.
Must have been amazing, my friend.
What a venue. But anyway, all right, I'll get some music together for that.
Remind me on Austin, too, because I'm going to send you some music from Austin that I was introduced to in Montreal, and I partied with the lead singer, Black Joe Lewis and the Honey Bears. They're amazing. They've played that plenty of times. All right, Joe, so let's go on. Let's get into the talk here. Obviously, still basically because it's a dead time. But, I mean, it's a big story, and it continues to be a story as we speak, recording this on Sunday night, August 27th. David Pastrnak remains unsigned. Friday, Friday he tweeted it, and Sunday he reported it in the Boston Globe. That is Kevin Paul Dupont, who joined us on the last episode of Bruins Beat, that the Bruins have offered David Pastrnak a long-term deal worth $6 million a year. The question is whether it's 6 or 7 years. As I said earlier before we went on, I'm hearing if he goes 6, the money could go up to 7. If he goes 7, it stays at 6. I'm hearing a lot of things. I trust Dupe's report for now. But the bottom line is there's no reply from Pasternak's camp, and we're still at a standstill here. And training camp is fastly approaching. I believe this week we'll see the captain's practices where a lot of local guys will hop on the ice for the Bruins, and then some of the guys will start to move back and trickle back into Boston. I mean, this is kind of moving week for the NHL before camp starts, and there's no David Pastrnak on the ice, Joe. I mean, your thoughts on this, and furthermore, do you think it will be resolved by camp?
Refresh my memory. What was the original deal before the Draisaitl deal?
It was the same thing, basically. I think they just added on a year. They offered him 36 for 6 by 6.
So they're not doing anything different.
No, really. The money didn't go up. But I thought the Bruins weren't cheap. The money didn't go up.
Oh, dude, super cheap. This is like, all right, Dukes isn't here, so we can swear this is fucking bullshit. This is typical Bruins.
By the way, and I'll say this to him face to face, through email, whatever. It was noticeable to me, Duke's sort of adamant defending of Jeremy Jacobs and how that's a myth and blah, that hasn't happened in so long, and then saying it was all Harry Sinden and not Jacobs. Whoa, no, not true. And, I didn't want to offend the man at the time, and we were also dealing with recording issues at the time. I was a little distracted, but that shocked me to hear Dupe say that.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if he was that deciding vote on him going in the Hall of Fame. It was split, and it went down to the wire, and it was a split decision. They had to get a deciding vote from one of the Hall of Fame members on the voting committee, of which Dupes is. I wonder if that's why he was defending Jacobs to us so much last week. Maybe he was one of the guys who voted for him.
Isn't Dupes like the Bruins guy? If they leak something, goes to him, don't they?
I mean, yes and no. Like, yeah, he gets a lot of scoops from them.
Right.
And that's understandable. He's achieved that, and he's an amazing journalist, and he earned that right. But at the same time, he hasn't been shy to blast them. I mean, he's called them out when need be, though he did take their side now that I think of it in the whole Joe Thornton thing. But it was interesting. I disagree with Dupes, and I think this whole Pastrnak thing is another example of Jacobs nickel and diming.
Oh, wow, okay. So someone from our chat room just said, "Oh my God, it's amazing how much Murphy hates Jacobs. Get over whatever it is you have against him."
Is it Dupes?
No. This is Sharon. She's a good fan of ours.
What am I supposed to get over? I mean, there's nothing to get over and move on until the man croaks, because he's still going to have an effect on the team.
I agree with you. I mean, I never, we're the same age. I never got over.
He's a fraud. He robs little kids. He lies to people and holds back charity money to fund rinks. I'm sorry. What are we supposed to get over here?
Chris, it's still Christmas. I mean, can you say anything more? I mean, like I said, we also how cheap he was. Like 88, 90, they were one or two guys that they could have probably compete, better against Edmonton or even beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sharon said you talk about him more than anyone else.
Oh, funny thing. I was on TSN 690
really?
this past week with my buddy Mitch Melnick there. And we were just talking about the whole thing that happened there with the charity events he was supposed to hold and just the Pastrnak contract. And Jeremy Jacobs came up, and Mitch said to me, "Whoa, remember, he's a Hockey Hall of Famer now," and he was sarcastically saying it.
Oh, right. Okay.
And amazingly, if you remember, we cut it out. We didn't have it in the podcast, but there was a section where I had suggested to you and Dupes and I didn't elaborate enough, so I'm not sure he got my drift. But I had suggested to you and Dupes that Jeremy Jacobs is the Donald Trump of the NHL. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Okay, well, listen. So we start talking about Jacobs and everything.
That was a huge
and not knowing this whole story and not knowing my conversations I've had with Russ Conway about that topic, Mitch says something to the extent like, yeah, he's Donald Trump of hockey. And I didn't even prompt it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there you go.
Duke, I think Duke's completely went over his head. He's like,
yeah,
okay.
There's other people, man, that really think that because, I mean, look at the way he speaks at press conferences. He has no filter. He says things. It doesn't matter. He'll throw Neely under the bus. He'll throw He'll throw Claude under the bus. It doesn't matter. You know, and he'll say things really that you like, you know, when he guaranteed, and yes, they made the playoffs, but I mean, it was still a crapshoot whether the Bruins were going to make the playoffs last year all season. You know, he went into the season guaranteeing they were going to have a quote-unquote long run in the playoffs.
Oh, God, it's hilarious.
And I remember seeing Cam Neely and Don Sweeney's face like, oh, shit.
Dude, seriously.
Why did you say that?
For a little revisionist history, if the Bruins didn't win the Cup in 11, do you think anyone would be defending Jeremy Jacobs whatsoever?
No.
No.
I think, you know, I get the defense. Well, he spends to the cap. Well, not really. And he's not spending to it right now, and he hasn't for the last 3 seasons. People should take notice of that.
Not well, and not well.
Yeah. So,
Gillespie's, Jimmy Hayes, you know, in a trade, regardless. But yeah, so.
But back to that question, I mean, do you think he's signed by camp?
I'd probably not.
Me neither.
Probably not. We got to have turbulence. It can't be a Bruins season when
Is he a Boston Bruin by camp?
Oh God, Jimmy, I can't even fathom if they don't have him. If they don't sign him, they trade him. I can't even fathom. Like there'll be people outside Jeremy Jacobs, you know, wherever he lives, every mansion he lives, like, you know, Dr. Frankenstein up in the tower. There'll be like pitchforks, torches. You know, they'll be coming after him full. I mean, that is just inexcusable.
But my question, Joe, is, and Mitch brought this up, Mitch Melnick on TSN 690 when I was talking to him in that convo we just referenced. You know, he says there's a lot of people in Montreal, and we know it's not going to happen, but there's a lot of people who love to see Marc Bergevin throw the dagger in the Bruins and sign him to an offer sheet. And we got talking, and we said it, and you and I have had this conversation off air. I mean, what's the deal, Joe? Like, why don't GMs have the balls to do this? And I'm not trying to offend them. But it's part of the CBA. Please spare me that good old boy network, and you know it's a wink, and because I'll tell you what that is to me. This sort of wink, that we're not going to throw offer sheets. That's collusion, and I think that if I'm Donald Fehr, and I'd be a lot better NHLPA executive director than him because I don't think he gives a shit about the NHL players, and he's just there for a paycheck. But if I'm Donald Fehr, or if I'm the players, I get with my committee there, and I say, when we go into that next CBA, I want this investigated, and I want there to be some mandate that a certain number of offer sheets must be thrown down. They are preventing players from getting employment by doing this. And it's crazy. I mean, if you're Marc Bergevin, how do you not throw that down? Who cares if they match it? Big deal. It would be awesome. Or if the Bruins had a chance to get a Canadiens RFA, how much more would that spice up the rivalry? You know, like, come on, get some balls and start using that tool.
So what's the compensation if, for whatever reason, if they did get Pastrnak and he did sign in the Bruins match? What's the compensation? I think I asked you this before.
You know what? I don't have the exact facts, but there was a story about that today. 1 second.
Get on the Google machine. Let's check that bad Larry out.
My buddy Spector, I think, was talking about it.
One guy said, Bruins can't afford losing any more good talent and get away with it. They're running out of excuses. Completely true. I just saw, I don't know, I guess there's some league that most of the Canadian players are playing. Like I saw Sagan. I don't know if you saw the goal he scored out of
the BioSteel camp.
Yeah, I saw the goal Sagan scored out of midair. I was like, oh, God. Why can't we get guys like that? Oh, we had guys like that. I'm sorry. McDavid looks nasty as ever. Good Lord. So Pastrnak, you know, is as close as we're going to get to a dynamic player since Sagan left. And yet again, we get get completely stonewalled and get drama and stirring the friggin' pot. We can't. Nothing can be easy. Just pay the guy what he deserves. It's a bunch of picks based on the amount of the contract. Okay, a bunch of picks. All right, but anyway,
so here's what you do, Joe. You dividing the total compensation offered by the lesser of the length of the contract or by 5, i.e., a 7-year, $49 million deal has an average of $9.8 million, but a salary cap hit of 7. A 5-year, $35 million deal would have a $7 million AAV and cap hit. But the big difference is in draft pick compensation. So, I mean, let's say that a team basically offered him what Draisaitl got. What was that? 8.5 per year over 8 years. So the Bruins, if they didn't match, the Bruins would get 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. Now, if the offer was over $9.8 million, the Bruins would get 4 first-round picks.
Wow! Holy crap!
So, and just to go to second-tier and third-tier levels, this is where it starts. So, an offer of 1.2 or below, there's no compensation. An offer of 1.2 to 1.9, you get a third-round pick. An offer of 1.9 to 3.9, you get a second-round pick. An offer of 3.9 to 5.8, you get a first and a third. An offer of 5.8 to 7.8, you get a first-round, second-round, third-round pick. And then, like I said, if they went into Draisaitl thing, which would be the logical prediction that they would go in if a team did it, it would be 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick.
Well, this is why they don't want to do it. They don't want to lose the draft picks, right? I mean, this is it.
But if you're a team like Edmonton, who is basically for the last year, 10 years, stockpile picks, you've got your young core in place. You've invested the money in that young core, obviously in McDavid and Draisaitl and a couple other guys, even your vet core like Lucic. This is your let's do this, let's go into the playoff mode now. You don't really give a shit right now. You're going for it over the next 5 years. So,
you got Chiarelli there. It'd be 2 years.
So I mean, whatever. But I mean, if I'm Chiarelli,
right?
To me, I mean that's his window right now. He's looking at it saying, "I'm going for it to win a cup in the next 4 or 5 years." Why wouldn't you offer a first, second, and third, and sign Pastrnak to a 7.5 offer sheet?
I know. Like you said, I think everybody, it's the old boys club. They want to cross anybody, and it's stupid.
And it would be great. I mean, I don't know why they don't utilize it more. I see there's situations when you don't, but it's a useful tool if you're in the position to do it. And they need to get over this, man. Now, that's why it's there. And if I'm the PA, I mean, you got a guy that worked in baseball, right? He was there when all that stuff was going down with collusion way back when for Major League Baseball and free agents. He came in, I think, just right after that. But, he's familiar with all that. He's an expert in it. Why are you not going after the owners for this? Because there's clearly collusion going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's become the no fun league. I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's something I'd like to see, but I think we're both in agreement. I don't think this stalemate's ending anytime soon unless the GM gets some cojones and offers an offer sheet. And I almost think maybe the Bruins would prefer that happen because it would end it quick. They just match and that's it, and you move on. Well, that's what Sweeney says. Yeah. I wonder, though, if somebody put down 7.5 per 7 years, if the Bruins would be like, oh, well, look at how much we get. We get 2 first-round picks, a second and a third. And it is a good draft.
You know what? Why not? But like you said, everybody seems to be sitting on their hands and they don't want to do that stuff. Piss anybody off. Yeah. What fun's that, Jim? What's that give us to talk about?
I think what we can talk about right now, considering that some unrestricted free agents, kind of complimentary type players that have been sort of sitting around waiting for a job, 2 former Bruins actually. One was signed to a PTO in Jimmy Hayes. To the Devils, and also to the Devils was a 1-year contract for unrestricted free agent Drew Stafford. Obviously, Tommy Fitzgerald, the local assistant GM of the Devils and the Boston-based scout, he's obviously had a say in that. But I just think that, like you said, what else is out there? Interesting story from Elliot Friedman talking about a Russian forward in the KHL who was suspended by the IIHF for doping, is now looking for employment, trying to get himself to be allowed to look for employment and then do so in the NHL. But he's a 36-year-old forward. He's never played in the NHL. And yet Elliot Friedman suggests there will be teams interested in him as a UFA. And I asked to you in our messages, really? You want to bring a guy over that's never played here and he's that old and you won't sign Jagr? I just find that interesting, and I'm wondering if there's something going on where Jagger's kind of being cornered here and something happened. I don't know, but it's really interesting to see the potential of Denis Zarapov from the KHL, never played a game here, has a better chance of maybe being signed than Jaromir Jagr. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, I just looked online. Jagger's agent believes he will get something done. The report. Well, the reason why they want to hire Jagr because Jagr will probably pillage their wives and girlfriends and sisters and mothers because the Stamos Mikuya and his Kawasaki. You know what I mean? The Jagr. But I'm just looking at. God, he had a good year last year. For what? He had 46 points for a 44-year-old dude. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he's a known commodity. He will give you 35 to 40 points. What else can you add? What else can you want from a 44-year-old dude?
I know.
I mean,
yet you'll think about bringing this this guy who got busted for doping over.
And if the Jagr would be arrested for anything, it'd be for womanizing. So let's take the doping, the womanizing. What do we do?
He's a very religious guy too. I love it. He's like really religious, but really sexual. I think that's great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember that Czech model? She's like 18. She took a picture of him and tried to use.
She was trying to do what that bitch did to Julian Edelman. Yeah. And Jagr's like, I don't give a shit. Do it.
It's like, I do not care, little one. I have many in line for you.
I just had multiple sessions of intercourse with you. There is no.
I will have to say, by far, I don't know how you feel about him, but I give kudos for a toucher. His Jagr impressions make my morning when he
yeah, they do a great job. I miss Jagr, man. I ever tell you the Jagr story about when he? Did I ever tell you a story about when Jagr was traded to the Bruins? So.
No, what did you tell?
Okay, so the first, and we'll get back to one of our things we want to tackle before the end of the show here is, whether the Bruins should extend a PTO to a veteran for. We were trying to think of who's out there. We'll get to that in a second. But here's the Jagr story. So through a mutual connection who I've known for a while, Jagr had been told about me. And said no, good thing. Said, hey, if you need a trusted reporter in Boston and need a good guy to know about partying and good pubs and good places to see music and women, Jimmy Murphy's your guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you were the brand ambassador, the city ambassador to the Jagr.
Yeah, like I'm some pimp or something. I don't know, but it was hilarious. So I have no knowledge of this, that he's been told this. So. Here he is. He comes out after practice, his first scrum facing the Boston media. This was, I don't know what, March 2013.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
So we come there, and he answers a couple of questions, and then I go, Jaromir, and he turns to me, and right before I can ask a question, he smiles. He goes, "Oh, you're the leprechaun I'm supposed to find."
Oh my God! If you could have got that audio,
I have it still. It's in my computer. We'll have to play it. I'll find it. We'll play it on the show.
Oh my God! Please. Oh my God! That would have to be like our outro or something. Joe Gill and the intro. Joe Gill and the Leprechaun.
Yeah, and his accent that he says it in. I mean, I can't do it. I'm not going to try it. Like you said, Touch does a great job of it. But just imagine him in that
Who's
action
the
saying,
leprechaun they've been told about?
yes, you're the leprechaun. He goes, you are Jimmy Murphy. And I go, yes. And he goes, and not only did he shake I put my hand out. He goes, no. He pulls me in and hugs me in front of all the other
the last one I hugged was the Stamos, but now we got the Murphy. So it's all good. Get him on Kawasaki. Let's ride.
So me and him right off the bat, it was great.
That's awesome.
He liked me. So he would give me great things. I mean, I remember one time.
I bet he did. The
famous story of it, when his whole like post game training regimen.
Oh yeah.
So like Joe McDonald and I were the ones who found out about that and tweeted about it and wrote about it, was because we like walked down the hall to do a stand up video shot for ESPN.com, and the lights are out in TD Garden. It's just like a little light on the rink. As we're walking down the hall, we were going to go do it from the bench. As we're walking down the hall, we hear somebody skating. We're like, oh, what the hell's going on? And we get up to the bench and we see, and there's Jágr with weights on his upper torso, his midsection, and his like lower thighs and knees, and ankles too, and doing sprints like suicides, end to end, back and forth, and then he notices us and he skates over to us. I'm like, uh-oh, and he goes over. He goes, no photo of this. Right? And so we didn't say anything.
You lied to the Jágr.
No. So we didn't say anything. So then a couple days later, somebody asked, like, they were like, hey, I think it was like one of our editors is like, did you see this tweet about Jágr and what he did after the game? So I won't name names, but one of the reporters, asshole that he is, that we came down and told them just what happened. We're like, hey, we can't bring it up, but we told him it was a great story. Like, it was really cool. Like, this guy's a psycho, man. Like, he's 40-something years old. He's doing this.
Hell, yeah.
The guy wrote it in his column the next day.
Oh, he stole your thunder, too. What a dick.
Right? So I show it to Jágr, and I go, look, that wasn't us. And so Jágr, in the next scrum, was like, hey, nobody was supposed to know that story about my warm-ups, and I know that, you must have heard it from Jimmy Murphy here, but, like, he specifically told you not to put that public. Whoever you are, he goes, he's looking at everybody and pointing, he goes, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Wow. Jágr laying it down. I mean, he's going to cut you off from his woman.
Jágr's a great man. And segueing into who I think the Bruins should sign for PTO, bring the Jágr bomb back.
Why not? Do you remember, like, in 2013, he was with Marchand and Berge, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. If he just... I think he had a couple posts in the final. If he just hit a couple...
He had a lot of assists, Joe. I mean, he was helping to set up plays. Yeah. He just wasn't scoring himself.
Snake bit.
Yeah.
Corey Crawford owned his ass for some reason that series. I don't know why.
Corey Crawford owned a lot of guys' ass until they figured out.
All right, let me ask you a question. I had to ask this question. When I was watching that Stanley Cup final, I could not believe how bad and how slow of a glove hand Corey Crawford has. He is one of the worst glove hands I've ever seen.
And then they figured it out.
Am I right?
Yeah.
You agree on that?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. That was one of the things. I remember the guys saying that. Like, they're like, we're going to focus on a glove hand. And there was one game where they came out and lit him up. I forget which game it was. But they knew. They had seen it, and he had to correct that. And props to Corey for, correcting that in Game 6. Look, a lot of that's fun. I know it's not Bruins related, but a lot of people, man, don't give Corey Crawford the respect he deserves.
He's got 2 cups. I mean,
yeah,
or more. Does it 2? Niemi got the first one. Yeah,
I don't care, man, if he's sort of like a product of the guys in front of him. He still has to stop the puck.
He's winning. That's all that matters. Yeah. Doesn't matter how many.
It was kind of like when Tim Thomas was here, circling back to how we started the show. I mean, it was kind of like Tim Thomas. For the longest time, he didn't get any respect, right? And it was just like, hey, the guy may not be pretty. He may not be your prototypical, Carey Price type structured goalie, but he gets the job done. And that's all I care about. And, props to Corey Crawford. So I'm saying Jágr, man. I think that would be a great signing. I also wouldn't mind another veteran defenseman who's out there. I haven't taken a look at the list. Let's check it out. I mean, I'm thinking they've got a young D. And, they have Char and all that. But Char's going to need a break.
Right.
So.
All right. Are we going to be able to talk about that top 20? Because I need to just call out. Let me know when you want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, we'll get into that. I mean, we've covered the PTO thing here. So we're both in agreement. Bring the Jagger bomb back.
Oh, why not? Jagger bomb. I love that. That was great.
So let's get to the NHL. We want to do the D or the centers? What one ticked you off more?
The center, the Bergeron one's probably been beaten like a dead horse by everyone. I want to look at the
D.
The D?
Yep.
All right. The one name on here that jumped out at me that you're a top 20 guy, Dougie fucking Hamilton. Really? You're a top 20 guy? I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't see it.
Not yet. Not yet, right? He's going to be eventually, but not yet.
But, I mean, all right, so last year he had 13 goals, 37 assists, 50 points. And I know they had a good run to make the playoffs. He was a part of that. But he's just not – he's not the number one defenseman to me. You know what I mean? He's not prototypical. Has he become more physical with Calgary? I don't watch Calgary Flames games, so I don't know.
No, he still was.
So I don't know how you can be a number one and not be physical. You know what I mean? I don't get that at all. So I think that one stuck out at me, and that was in my craw.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you.
The rest of these guys seem legit. I mean, Carlson, of course. I mean, he's like that series against the Bruins. Remember that end-to-end saucer pass he had?
Yeah, that was insane, dude.
Sick. That was sick. You just like the Bruins had no answer for him. Zero.
You know what Erik Karlsson reminded me of in the playoffs last year, and we were bringing up FanDuel and football early in the show. And by the way, you can do college teams as well. Like we remember FanDuel early in the show, and I'm going to make a football analogy here for you. Erik Karlsson to me is like a Doug Flutie on the ice, a Heisman Trophy winner, Doug Flutie on the ice. Just the vision,
quarterback, yeah,
the instinct. The vision and the instinct and the precision and speed in which he executes that, it's insane. And Joe, I give props to you because I watched what you were saying then. I remember some of you, Bruins fans need to get over the Bruins at times and just respect greatness for what it is. And the fact that even throughout the playoffs, all the way till the Senators were knocked out in Game 7, they would not give this man props and kept saying he was overrated and he's a one-way defenseman, he's all offense. Shut up. If you're not going to talk like that, don't bother listening to the Bruins beat, please, and don't bother associating with Joe and I.
The only thing I had no problem with Karlsson that series, do you remember when that stupid kid took one of the players' sticks when they were walking out?
Yeah.
And then he tried to slash him? Which I find, I was having an argument with the last guys that were in the first version of the Bruins beat. They were saying, the kid deserved and all this. And going, well, if Karlsson cracked the kid over the head and broke the kid's skull and the kid was in a coma, does that equate taking the dude's stick?
No.
No.
No. And you know what? And I think he said it afterwards too. I think if we go back and find it, it's something he regrets. He didn't act like a pro there. He let his emotions get the best of him.
Right. Oh, that's what I was trying to say. And people just all over me, oh, the kid deserved it.
No. Rightfully so, what you said there. I totally agree with you. I mean that, and I don't think, and that's why I like Erik Karlsson is because he would apologize right after, and also, I think he's on his way to being a quote unquote pro in terms of how he behaves and how he handles situations like that. He's gonna get there. He's not there yet. He's still gotta remember, man. He's still young, and it's amazing, man. Just the breakout that he had in the playoffs. I mean, if Erik Karlsson wasn't known before those playoffs, he's known now. And for anyone to just, still say, oh, he's not as good as this guy and this guy on my team, get over yourselves. He's great.
I mean, and another thing too. I mean, he was injured, which is amazing that he played the whole playoffs injured.
Yeah.
Just going back one more time about Boston.
He's got balls
fans.
too.
Yeah. The Boston fans are how we are too. So when I was calling out Karlsson and all that, someone's like, well, if Marchand did it, you would say anything. Go, absolutely would. Were you kidding me? Absolutely would. When Marchand did that stupid spearing that guy's nuts and he got suspended, I was all over Marchand's ass.
Exactly.
That's stupid. You're selfish. You basically let down your team.
Any real Bruins fan is on him when he does those amazingly idiotic things that he does, and he's lessened it. God bless him, and voila. The guy is one of the best players in the world now because he doesn't do that shit. I shouldn't say he doesn't. He does still sometimes. But he's aware of it, and he's tried to correct. Oh, not to bring up a sore spot for all of us, but the guy he credits most for helping him do away with that, it's that guy. He's a coach of Montreal now. What's his name?
Oh God, Claude. All right, I remember this. All right,
okay. But anyhow, Claude never developed young guys good. Anyhow, I want to get to who I have an issue on this list. Okay, and I know his agent, know him very well. I know I've met Kevin Shattenkirk a few times. I think he's a nice kid. I think he can still be a good two-way guy. But as many wrongly describe Erik Karlsson as an offensive defenseman strictly, Kevin Shattenkirk is definitely an offensive defenseman, and that's it. And he's a power play specialist. And they say that in their description here. But there is no way in hell that he should be in the top 20 right now. I'm sorry. And a bad omission, and I knocked the guy, and I knocked the management, the time management of the guy on him and on the Bruins. That's Zdeno Chara. I still think he should be in the tail end of the top 20 there.
19 or 20 he should be at.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know one guy that's going to be there next year. And I hate to jump on the hype train, and I hope he can survive it. But if he does, and he learns how to mature and handle the workload at the NHL level, you would think one Charlie McAvoy is going to be in this list. Yeah.
Dude, he gave me such a McAvoy in my pants that, during that series, it was amazing. It was like
Machiavellian boner? Is that
it was like Viagra cocktail. It was ridiculous how good he was. And just when they lost, I mean, it sucked they lost, but you got to see him playing. It was like, God, it was worth, burning that 1 year. It was like, don't burn the year. They had, Krug was injured. Who else? McQuaid was injured because he gets injured every other game. Everybody was hurt. Carlo was out. You bring him up, man. And guess what? It was well worth it because he trial by fire. He helped Chara out. You think that's going to be the pairing, him and Chara again? Or is it going to be Carlo?
I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. That's something to watch in camp for sure. I just, I think he will, but I won't lie that a part of me is worried that he has a setback just because, he only played 6 games. So and the hype is already insane around him, and it's going to get even bigger. I don't know the kid well enough, so I can't attest to how he'll handle it. I just from what I see from afar, I think he'll be all right. He seems like a poised kid to me. He seems laid back. We'll see what happens, but it was a great thing. I agree with everything you said. It was well worth burning that entry level year. I think he's a star in the making. Even if he has a so-so year, I think he's so young. There's plenty of time left. So I think that's going to be something. But, like I said, I wonder, do they think about bringing an older guy, in to help with young guys like McAvoy? I know Chara's there to do that. But it can never – you can never have, in my eyes, as long as they can still hang, you can never have too much veteran experience and a veteran voice in the locker room.
No doubt about it. They missed out when they lost Ferentz and Thornton and
Brecky.
And Boychuk. Yep. No doubt.
We'll see what happens. Hey, listen, Joe, always a pleasure, my friend, and you are a good husband indeed to your wife there. Congratulations on the first date anniversary.
Yeah,
you got to be careful, though, Joe. You start doing first date anniversaries, you're going to have to
bro. It's like saying I don't the first time I bought her a steak dinner, and we don't have one of those, or I bought her flowers 2 years later. We don't do that.
Okay, good.
We don't celebrate Valentine's Day because it's a horseshit holiday. Anyway,
I agree. Totally agree. I just get hammered on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we're all black and all mean and shit. Look at the angry leprechaun. We're black. So angry, drinking his rosé and all this shit. He's angry.
Yep. The leprechaun and Yager on Valentine's Day. There you go.
That is it. You never hung out. You never went out drinking with them?
No comment. That's dude. I don't know if that's for public ears. That sets up the show for today. The leprechaun and Yarmir Yager.
Imagine that. What a sitcom that would be. That'd be like Half House, not Full House, because you're only
especially if it's in Czech. It would be really cool. Hey,
him.
Joe, always a pleasure, my friend. We're glad to be on CLNS Media. We are psyched to have FanDuel on board as a sponsor. This has been another Bruins Beat with Joe Gill and myself, Jimmy Murphy. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.